Alliance 2015, it's a try to combine, for the moment, 7 professional, kind of elite in a good sense, NGOs working in the humanitarian and development platform, and combine them on an international network in order to have a better impact, to better coordinate, to make a more significant change for more people who are in need.
We learn from each other, we inspire each other, we come to new ideas because we work together. I think that's the biggest plus.
We decided to join together within a network to be more efficient in the field, to share more information, and to join their strength in order to address the global challenges of today.
I think the model that the Alliance is relevant for the Alliance is a bit like that for the wider European Union. You're pooling sovereignty, and by pooling sovereignty at national level, you're actually in many cases increasing your sovereignty, because you may be giving up something, but you're gaining more than you're giving up.
We do believe that the future of an NGO is only if we have a global capacity, and this global capacity is what we have as 7 organizations right now.
Well, the Alliance has the main goal in the name, Alliance 2015, which says that we are kind of signing for contributing into reaching the Millennium Development Goals at 2015. So the few basic things, which is education, water, health, eradication of poverty, empowerment of people, food security, food sustainability. Most of them, unfortunately, will remain after 2015. So we will work beyond that, of course. It looks that the MDG talking about that 90-95% of the children should have access to basic education. It will be more or less reached until 2015.
It is necessary for us to compare our actions and our skills with the expertise of German people, of Dutch people, of Irish people, of French, and so on. And that's why we are so proud to be in the Alliance, in order to develop new activities and new programs together with our partners.
There's over 1 billion people hungry in the world, and I think European civil society, in the shape of the Alliance, has equally an important voice here.
Hunger is having a lot of various reasons and causes. Of course, structural problems, lack of education, lack of knowledge, lack of access to things that come from the outside. And I think all the Alliance members contribute their piece to combating the hunger in this world. So we follow a very similar objective.
The aid effectiveness agenda, where all the major donors are asking the civil society actors, how are you collaborating together to work more effectively? The Alliance, again, is a very useful framework for that.
There are so many NGOs in some countries. We need to coordinate our work better. We need to make better use of the resources and make sure that we are not wasting resources, because that we owe to the poor people of those countries.
In certain cases, 1 or 2 Alliance members might be working in a country that is affected by an emergency. 1 or 2 of the other Alliance members is willing to raise money from their own national publics, but doesn't want to start an operation themselves in the country with the emergencies. So we've been developing increasingly good ways of working together and responding to these sorts of things. For the most part, they keep their separate donations, but there are increasingly opportunities where they are going to be sharing resources.
Such a disaster is so big that we can also fundraise in our constituencies, and then we can channel the funds to Concern, to Welthungerhilfe, to PIN or to Cesvi, who are there already. And then in a month's time, in 3 months' time, where there's a need for some of the competencies that we have, then we can move in and complement their work and jointly do something together that give us better results.
Cesvi, ACTED, PIN and Welthungerhilfe faced the disaster caused by the cyclone Nargis that affected about 2.5 million people in the delta of Myanmar.
Several alliance members joined forces, and it was so much to be done, but we divide the work both from a geographical point of view and both from a sectorial point of view in order to cover a maximum of needs.
When each member put on the field one particular skill, one with the logistic, another one with procedures, others collaboration with local NGOs, local people. So altogether they were capable to reach a very good result.
As far as institutional fundraising was concerned, we could go all together to institutional partner. And of course, a plan introduced by 4 organizations is much more powerful than a plan introduced by 1 organization.
Let's say in Bolivia, where Hivos for a long time has been dealing with the issue of AIDS. We have done work together with local organizations to spread the message about AIDS and how to prevent it. But in Bolivia, we didn't have a legal status, so we couldn't implement the program. Now, in that time, IBIS was there, had an organization, had a legal status. So we linked up to IBIS and developed the association Hivos-IBIS, which is now implementing the program, taking the benefit of the work of IBIS as well as Hivos to implement that program.
When I visited Liberia last time, which is a post-conflict country where conditions are extremely rough, and saw the cooperation between Welthungerhilfe and IBIS, the Germans doing the reconstruction work, building roads, building schools, and then you have IBIS doing, you could say, the software, teaching the teachers, organizing students, getting pupils into schools, etc. And you have a donor demanding that organizations work together to be more efficient. So it's a good example of combining competences to work more efficiently.
By doing it together, we can actually take in capacities and competencies from each of the organization and trying to build on that. And that actually causes in many ways that we get a better result. We reach far more children. We actually do a better work with the teachers, and we can actually have a more holistic, you could say, approach to education. Like in any other business, development work is high, professional, specialized work. And to be able to continue to attract donors to finance what we are doing, you really need to be good at what you are doing. And in this way, you actually specialize along the road. But being a specialist is not the only thing that matters in doing with long-term development. You need to combine the various specialities. So in that way, it really makes some difference.
There's bad governance, for instance. There's corruption. There's climate change. There's global trends that we need to deal with in a much more concerted and coordinated manner. And, working in the field together, that's one thing. But mobilizing the people in our home countries, that's a real challenge. And I think this is what is needed. So we need to give them that knowledge, and we need to show them ways how we will be able to contribute to solving those problems.
Not only are we working together as nationals and as Europeans, But we're also attempting to arrive at common positions at times, which we then present to the European institutions, the European Commission, the European Parliament, to see can we influence European policy in certain directions.
Human rights is not something that you solve in one go. You probably need a couple of years to work together with other actors to try to influence policymakers, politicians, to change the laws and to respect the laws. And NGOs or civil society organizations have their own interests. They try to champion the interests of common people and change conditions for the better.
We have 5-6 years been running a joint campaign with Hivos as a lead organization called School is the Best Place to Work, putting the issue of child labor and the need for children to go to school and not to go and work when they're young and should be in school. We put that strongly on the European agenda, and that's another level of advocacy and information work which we can do because we are an alliance.
It's sometimes hard to be very definitive about what you achieve in advocacy, but what I think we did achieve in the Stop Child Labour campaign was a much greater awareness of the problems of child labour in developing countries, and in certain cases we did help influence governments both at European level and in developing countries to try and reflect in law efforts to stop child labour.
Yo, a dança dos cordas.
2015 Watch is another way of making sure that promises are held and that money is used as best possible. The Watch report is looking at the EU commitments, and we have then used it for making public pressure on the Commission, talking with them directly, having meetings in Parliament where we discuss it and use it at the national level where we are. And that is part of the strength of the alliance.
Well, the Alliance has a number of opportunities for the future. One is we represent maybe a constituency of 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 million people who are behind us. And I think the challenge and both also the opportunity for the Alliance is to mobilize these people. And this is the case both in our respective home countries, but also in the countries where we work in. The Alliance will play its role. We will continue formulating these goals even now. We don't wait until 2015.
There will be poor people still, there will be children not attending school, there will be mothers not being able to get to a clinic to give birth to a child, etc. So there will be a lot of work for us to do beyond 2015. And I think we have an obligation to do that in the most efficient manner that we can.
I would actually like to see that we have enabled that the people themselves are able to take responsibility for their own development, poverty, and knowing there's a lot of factors influencing that. But if we can actually improve people's opportunities to find alternative ways to take responsibility for themselves and for the next generation, we could say that we have done a good job.
Mama,